It's now time to bring it all back. That's right. It's season 2 of Behind the Comic Book Podcast with Mr. 845 Social. Brought to you by Icon Comiccon.
Hey everybody, it's Mr. 845 here, and we are on the Behind the Comic Book Podcast. I'm here with Vinny. He's going to tell us a little bit about himself. But before we get to that, Vinny, I do want to mention he will be a vendor at the Icon Comiccon, which is November the 1st in Fishkill, New York. If you know where the Fishkill Rec Center is, right off of 84, right on 52, right next to the police department. It's an easy trek right there. Delightful parking. We have a wide variety of different vendors for you to check out on Icon. So make sure you get your tickets at iconcomiccon.com. Now, let's get this party started. Vinny, tell us who you are and what do you do?
Hi, my name is Vinny Mazzella. I am a toy photographer. I do photography of not people, but of action figures. I've been doing it now for, I want to say, well over half a decade at this point. I want to say it's a bit of a niche genre of photography, but how it works is I take an action figure that's based off of like a popular character from like either a video game, a comic book, manga, so on and so forth. I pick out a pose, and once I set up the kind of idea that I have in mind for that action figure, I pose them, get the idea set up, I take the photo, and then afterwards I edit it in Photoshop, do a little bit of color correction in Lightroom, and then I post it on Instagram under the name of Starlight Tales Photography. And yeah, I use all manner of practical effects because I'm largely into just doing it practically, not so much like adding in effects. If I have to in Photoshop, I will, but mostly sticking on the practical side, which can include any number of things.
Nice.
For most of for my more recent works, I've actually been using fireworks to create like this cool like bokeh effect around my action figures and stuff. It's something that I've just started doing, and it's been really, really exciting so far.
Nice. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. Now,
Yeah.
now, do you do this just for the gram, or do you do this and you sell the prints of your photos? Like, how exactly does it work? And then also, just before we skip anything else, the best way to contact you in case like people want to work with you, stuff like that.
Yeah. So let's get that out of the way first. The best way to contact me is through Instagram. I also do have a link tree on my profile that links to my email, Facebook, as well as my Instagram as well. That's ways that you can get in contact with me if you would like. A print of any of my work mailed to you or directly to you, as well as obviously selling them at cons. So I'll get into that too. So I do it both for Instagram as well as sell prints at conventions and stuff. This would actually be, I want to say, my third year selling specifically at the Fishkill convention.
Yep.
At first, I wasn't. At first, I wasn't too keen on selling prints of my work because you look at my work in its early stages and yeesh.
Hey, listen, you gotta start somewhere, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. But my problem back then was that I had no restraint when it came to editing. So it's like if, I wanted to edit something, if it was just a little bit, I would end up pouring a lot of a certain effect into a photo that I did, and it didn't really come out as well as it did, as well as I had hoped. And this was before I really knew like how each of the settings on my camera worked.
Mm-hmm.
So as you said, gotta start somewhere, but yeesh. But now that
you can sell the early works, and you can say,
right?
The early years, that's
show the before and after,
Yeah. So like, the biggest thing that I want to kind of know is like, how do you get into this type of business, right? I'm sure that when you were younger, you weren't like, I'm going to be a photographer of
No.
in like animated characters that I love
Oh
in
yeah.
like toy form. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like take us through the path of like, what did you want to be with you when you wanted to grow up, and then kind of
So
take us to where you're at now.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. So when I grew up, I had first wanted to be a screenwriter of mainly in filming and stuff like that. That's what I went to college for. And then the pandemic happened, and that kind of put a bit of a spanner into the works of just what I could do creatively and what I was like feeling at the time. Because when the pandemic hit, like in its early stages, that's when like I graduated from college. So you can imagine like going from that into this and whatnot. It was a bit of a demoralizing factor for me. And one day I'm just searching on YouTube and I come across this genre of photography that I'd never heard of before, called toy photography. The Instagram user, his name is Sir Dork, and you look at some of his work that he makes and whatnot, and it's absolutely stunning. And I had been collecting figures for years, and they were just literally sitting on my shelf collecting dust. And I decided, you know what? This looks like fun. I want to try my hand in it. And then from then on, the rest was history. You know, what started with one figure ended up going to another one, and then another one, and then I suddenly have like two shelves of figures now with like, and I'm jotting down ideas left and right, thinking like, oh, this would be a cool idea involving like, Batman trying to intimidate like thugs that he's beaten up, or I have Ash from the Evil Dead movies running away from a monster that's after him, and Ash is like carrying like chocolate because he doesn't want to give up his candy. Like very zany, bizarre ideas like that. That just kind of help like fuel this creativity or this creative side that I've been wanting to tap into for so long, but never really knew how to.
Yeah.
And it was very like, I always tell people this, that I started out wanting to write, and then I just pivoted to doing photography, and now like I'm learning more and more about the camera. I'm learning how the how, if I want like a well lit shot, like if I'm doing it outside, best to do it when the sun is out, or if like I'm using like fireworks, let's say, it's best to do it when like the sun is going down, that you have your camera on continuous shooting. Make sure like the environment that you're in, that you're doing this in, is non-flammable, that kind of stuff, and it's been one of the more positively consistent elements of my life, is just making art like this and just sharing it with
Nice.
a wide array of people. It's given me a lot of confidence, and I can definitely appreciate that.
Yeah. Awesome,
Um,
man. I
yeah.
mean, the biggest thing is, hold on. All right. Had to
Yes.
make sure I change the background. But the biggest thing is being able to tap into that creativity, doing a genre of art that not many tap into, and actually making something out of it. So, what was the first character that you used in your first like art expose, if you will?
Um, so like as far as like the first like real figure I took a picture of,
Hmm.
this is gonna be a little out there. But if you're at all familiar with the game series Doom, this was around the time that the most recent game, Doom Eternal, came out, and in that game there's an enemy called the Marauder. And Todd McFarlane, he makes action figures based on like video game characters or comic book characters, mainly Batman. Look at a lot of his
Hmm.
line of figures, there's like a plethora of Batman figures. But one of the characters from that game that he made a figure of, it was of the Marauder, and I love that enemy, just the way it's designed and how it looked and whatnot. And
Hmm.
so I ordered him, and I don't know why him specifically, but I felt like taking a picture of him first, just to see. And this was before like I had like a very like expensive camera. Like this is before I was using like a DSLR. I was using my phone. And
Hmm.
again, I set him up. it was a basic pose of him just standing, and I used like basic desk lights with like different colored gels, and I put him in front of it, turned the lights on, and put him in front of a black sheet, and it looked like he was standing in front of like a fiery background almost. And from then on, I'm like, okay, this is it's nothing special, but it's like, okay, I want to keep doing this. And then after the Marauder, I had an Ahsoka figure,
Hmm.
and I took a picture of her. And again, it kept going. And then I finally got my hands on a DSLR camera, and I was able to take my creativity to the next level because now I had uh, features that I didn't really have access to before, like changing the exposure on the camera, like setting it up on a tripod, that kind of stuff. Because at first I did this all like freehand with my
Yeah.
phone, and that can only get you so far until you get something that's a bit more equipped for this sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, you got
And
like a whole bunch of different characters on your Instagram if people want to
yes,
look. You have a good like a Mega Man looks awesome. A couple of different
oh
photos
yeah,
that you've done of Mega Man.
oh yeah.
Street Fighter. I
Mhm.
see a lot of like Nintendo games as well, like
Yeah,
Super Mario Brothers, Legend of Zelda, Link, um,
yeah.
Spider-Man. I mean, you got a wide variety. So now, is it like, do people like buy the action figure and say, "Hey, I want you to put this one in any of your art," or is it more like you're the one that does the creativity and then you sell your art?
It's more the latter than it is the former. I wish companies did reach out to me and ask me like, "Hey, we have like a whole like new line of figures coming out like in a couple of months. Can you just do like some quick product shots for us and whatnot?" I mean,
Hmm.
that's I tell people all the time when they ask me like, "Do you want to turn this into a like a career and stuff like that?" I'm like, that's the dream. But for right now, I'm busy making a fan art of stuff and hoping that they don't like swing the copyright hammer down on me or whatever. But yeah, it's mainly like if I see a figure based on a character that, I personally like, or if it's something that I think I could do like a cool idea of, or like if I have a couple ideas that I could do with them, then absolutely I'll make it a point of buying that action figure and trying my hand at it. Sometimes, what I have in my head doesn't really translate well to the camera at
Hmm.
times, but that is more of a learning experience than anything. Like, it's a bitter pill to swallow failure a lot of the time when you just think like you have the idea is good, the timing is good, but the execution isn't what you want it to be.
Hmm.
It's a bitter pill to swallow, and I've had photos like that where I'm like, I'm just not feeling it. I'm gonna try this again, and I'm gonna keep trying it till it works, or I'm just gonna try something else, maybe shift to doing it a different way. I've had a couple photos like that. I don't know if you've ever played the game Pikmin before, but
That's the little vegetables, right? That are
yeah,
radishes or
yeah,
whatever they are.
yeah. Photographing them is so fun, but at times it's like the trickiest thing. It's either the trickiest or the most frustrating thing in the world
Hmm.
because the Pikmin figures that I have, they have like no articulation, so you can't move their joints. They're just one piece figurines. And it could be sometimes an absolute nightmare trying to pose them right because like even like a gentle breeze will knock them over and you have to start all over again.
Mm.
Because
Is it one figure that you have, or you have like a bunch of them together?
a bunch of them
Oh,
together to like really like
so
create like
domino
a
effect.
yes,
Just
exactly. Exactly. Oh God, when you have the correct pose and it's like the figure because like what I do for to get them to get the figures in the poses that I need them to be in I use like wooden skewers and I stick them in like where like holes are in the joints of the figure art. So it's a little suggestive at times, but it keeps them in place. And depending on the terrain that I'm dealing with, because sometimes it'll be like with a solid dirt terrain, or I'll be sticking it in the grass where it's like all muddy and stuff, and the skewer can just go in and whatnot. And sometimes when the pose is right, but the figure just isn't like staying still, or it's like all it takes is just a gentle breeze to just move it, and that's it. Like you got to start all over again, because when I'm editing this photo and stuff, I make sure that the camera is like 100% still, and that I don't touch it unless I'm touching the button to take the photo. Um, if the camera at all moves, then I have to redo it all over again, because what I do in Photoshop is that like I layer the photos on top of one another with the figure and the skewer there, and then one where it isn't there. So then when I'm editing it, I can just remove the skewer, no fuss, no muss. But when things move, or if like things shift slightly, it's like I got to spend more time like trying
Yeah.
to align it so
I,
it comes off as
I
natural
mean,
and
you
not.
take a lot of dark stills and stuff like that, so I'm sure that
Yeah.
like aperture settings are set in a way that it is a longer exposure.
Oh yeah.
So any movement would cause like a glowing effect or like a blurring effect of that
Yeah.
person, like that figurine. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's something that sometimes it could come out cool depending on like the light exposure, and then sometimes it just looks like a blurry mess, and you're like, I can't
Yeah.
use this.
Exactly,
So
and
so
with those.
so what's now your camera of choice? Canon, Nikon, Sony? What do you like?
So the camera of choice that I've been using now for like the past 5 years is it's a Canon Rebel T6i. It's actually the same camera I got for my birthday 5 years ago, and it's been, to say it's been through hell and back with me would be like an understatement. I've taken that camera practically everywhere. Um, what was it, the because when I first got it, it was like one of those camera bundles that I got off of Amazon. So it came with like a standard kit lens, a telephoto lens, and then like I want to say like a year later, I invested in a 50 millimeter lens, which is what I've been using up until present day for my photos.
So so for layman, it's like a macro lens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I've been using that all the way up to the present day. It's very much like a point and shoot lens, but for me, it just very much works whenever like I'm doing like portrait style photos. Because more often than not, I have my camera set in a vertically than I do horizontally. Um, this year, more than any other, I'm trying to like vary it up with like angles and stuff like that, because over time, when I'm the type of person that looks at all the photos that they've taken throughout the years, and to see like what I can do differently, to see how I
Hmm.
can just keep my stuff fresh. Because the last thing I want is this to be like to come across as like stale or like copy paste kind of deal. Um, and so like I look at like, okay, how can I make the angle more interesting? How can I make the pose look more dynamic?
Hmm.
Kind of stuff, and it gets tricky at times, but more often than not, it leads to some of my best work. And I think this year more than any other, I've been like slam dunking it a lot.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of like you're creating your own stop motion picture, if you will, right?
Yeah,
But still frame by still frame, if you will.
exactly.
Which I mean is the process. But what I'm saying is, it's
Yeah.
like you're taking just that one still of that frame, and that's what you're basically using to kind of like post it up and kind of give people that impact image. I mean, a lot of it is some great positioning, like some cool art. Now, with some of the figurines, I see like glowing eyes and stuff like that. Do you after the fact like edit it so that they glow, or is it more they actually have that in the figurines that you get?
Uh, that's all post work. More often than not, that the figures that I do get, they don't really have like those switches. At most, they just come with like basic appendages where like you could
Hmm.
swap out the hands or you could swap out the head. Here you have like Blanca from Street Fighter, like gritting his teeth and whatnot, looking fierce, but then you can replace his head with one where like he's like roaring and his mouth is open and stuff like that.
Okay.
and I to like make him look more fierce, like I add a bit of like glow to his eyes to make him look like he's more mindless, more ravenous and feral. If the character that I'm taking a photograph, if the figure is based off of somebody that like has like glowing eyes or stuff like that, um, I'll try to add that in just for a little bit of like extra flair
Mhm.
to it. Like I know with one of my Batman figures that I have, his cowl, he has like the standard like comic white eyes when he puts on the cowl and stuff. And for the photo I have of him like staring down like a criminal or a thug as he's like holding his fist up and whatnot, I thought like what would be really cool is like if you could see like the his eyes glow and
Mhm.
stuff. It would just add to the overall like atmosphere of it, and it ended up being like again one of my favorite pieces that I ever did.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to kind of grab the characters because you always like when you're a
Yeah.
kid, you want to always bring them to life, right? So
Yeah.
it's like you're actively doing that in each little scene that you're doing. And now, is your target audience like kids who are into this art, or is it like pretty much any age that kind of reminisces with the characters that you use?
It's more or less targeting like just basically what you said, like it's more the latter than it is the former. It's targeting that nostalgia that we all had as kids of like, hey, I grew up with these characters, and it's like,
Hmm.
I always had this like idea in my mind of them doing like this really cool thing that the creators just never did, or they just, it couldn't be animated or, shown like on a big screen or small screen, that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Um, because I know for me when I was growing up, I was very much like into my imagination. I had more time than I knew what to do with when I when I was a kid, and it
Hey,
led me, yeah,
it's a millennial thing, I guess.
exactly.
It's one or the other. You're either outside all day or you're trapped in the house. I get it.
Exactly. I I hate growing up. I'm eternally 10.
Yeah.
But no, like when I was a kid, I was very much into like my imagination from, just playing video games, watching movies about like superheroes from like DC or Marvel or anime and whatnot. And, it always like I always like just escaped into my imagination when I was like either by myself or just, just fooling around and thinking like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if like this character was doing this thing, that kind of stuff. And, in a way, nowadays in my adult years, I'm in a way like tapping into that through this medium. And, it's comforting discovering like a community of people that kind of like share that same sentiment, and again sharing it with people who have no idea that this is even a genre of photography or like this is an art form.
Yeah.
I've had times where I've gone to other fairs or conventions, and they see the work that I have on display, and they're like, I've never heard of this before. This is so cool and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And to see like that kind of like almost like gleam in their eye, it's like it inspires me to keep doing it, to keep like spreading the word to other people and like show like, no, this is like an art form. This is stuff that you can do. I can, this is stuff that you can do,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have that touch, if you will,
Yeah.
because style and kind of like the angles that you use. I mean, it can't be like a novice saying, "Hey, I could just go up and just start taking pictures" or anything like that. So you put a lot of detail and a lot of like thinking and thought processing into like where you're positioning people. Like there's a Squirtle picture in here. It kind of looks like an actual action scene from Pokemon where the Squirtles are all like they get bopped and they get jumped into the air and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it kind of gives that emotion and feel, right? And
Absolutely.
you know, you always wanted to do that as a kid. You wanted to be able to animate your characters, or you play with them in different scenes, and you're like, oh, you know, Jimmy Neutron's on the train, and Lionel's gonna come and help him, and like I had multiple genre of toys, by the way, just because
Yeah.
of I had siblings that were younger than me. But they basically did all these different things, and they were able to get it so that you know they came alive in your imagination. But now you're doing it on the scene, so it makes it like it gives the kid in you, if you will, the capability of capturing that moment that you would have loved to see your characters actually do in real life. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, is there any particular genre of characters that you would prefer more than others? Like, are you a Star Wars fan, Marvel? I see that you're kind of like all over with like Capcom, Marvel, DC, Nintendo games, Halo. So you're like all over. So like, is there a specific one that you like more?
There's not really a specific one that like I follow. It's more or less just that if the figure looks good to me, then I want to like showcase it, because I got to justify spending like, 20, sometimes $30 for said figure, like they don't come cheap, unfortunately.
But plus
But
the camera equipment.
yeah, exactly. The stuff like the skewers and stuff like that, that's the cheaper part of this
Yeah,
whole thing.
those are dollar store items.
Yeah, exactly. But it depends. Like with me, like I try to branch out as much as possible. If there's like one genre of entertainment that like I tend to like skew myself towards, it's mostly like video game characters because growing up, mostly that's what my entertainment was as a kid.
Yeah.
I read comics here and there. I know who Batman is. I know who Superman is. I've been around these characters for practically all my life. And if it's something that is if it's a figure that's based on them that's affordable and whatnot, and I have like an idea that I can do, or that I really want to get out there and like flex my creative muscles a little bit, then yeah, I'm going to go for it. Mainly with, I know nowadays when I look at my work, I've taken a lot of photos of Street Fighter characters or Street
Hmm.
Fighter figures. That's because like the Jada, the company that makes those figures right now, because they have the license, um, their work is absolutely beautiful. Like the detail on them is great. The figures themselves are affordable too. So that to me, there's like little to no reason not to get them, even though I'm not the biggest Street Fighter like fan out there. I'm more of a Mortal Kombat person, but you try to get figures based on them, and it's like you're paying anywhere from like $200 to sometimes 400, depending on where you're looking. And it's like I don't got that kind of money,
Yeah.
and if I'm spending that kind of money on a figure, I'm likely not to put them in like action photos where
Yeah, yeah.
debris and
That's
dirt are
that's staying
flying.
in a seal.
Exactly.
Now,
Exactly.
I see that you kind of use different action figures altogether,
Yes.
different styles and stuff like that. Is there any one brand that's kind of better at articulating like the arms and legs so they can get in position to the what you want, or is it more um like the Funkos where they're like solid, they don't move. Like what's your bet like what's your favorite in the sense of articulation? And then you prefer the solid or the articulating ones.
So in terms of like what's like better in terms of like for me at least with when it comes to like articulation and stuff, I would say it's more so like figures that have like some like rigidity to them. Like when like you buy a figure off the shelf, right? And you open it and it feels a lot more rigid. It doesn't feel like as loose and whatnot. Those to me are like my preferred figures to use. I know there's one line of figures that when you see them, you expect to pay a premium for them. They're called SH figures
Hmm.
and whatnot. Those they're good. The type of stuff that they come with is absolutely fantastic, but I swear they're like an iPhone at times, where they are so delicate. They're so like they come with so many pieces that are so easy to miss. and like misplace, and then suddenly it's like I had this cool idea because this figure came with this accessory and now I lost it and I can't do it, and like I said before, they are very expensive, very well worth the price given what you're getting and the level of detail, but be careful with them. That's the best I could say. And as far as like, whether or not I prefer working with like figures with articulation or with one piece like Funko Pops, it it all depends on the idea I have in mind. Like it, because I have taken photos of Funko Pops before, and usually depending on what the Funko Pop is doing, or like if I could construct like a scene and
around it.
work around it. Yeah. If I can work around it, then sure, I'll happily take a photo of it. You know, but more often than not, I generally prefer figures with articulation to them just because, it allows for more freedom with like posing and stuff. It's like I don't have to worry about where the camera is placed. If the light is hitting the figure a certain way, I can just move the figure around a little bit and still get the same result. Um, but it all depends at the end of the day on the idea that I have in mind. Um, I know what was it? My mom, she has a Funko Pop of Harley Quinn that for a while now I've wanted to do a photo of her, but it's just like I need the proper like set and time to like make something that comes out looking like something you'd see like Harley Quinn in, like an environment that you'd see her in.
Hmm.
Because that's also another thing too, is that depending on the idea, I want the image to be believable. Like you see like Goku and Vegeta fighting with lollipops in the middle of a kitchen table over candy, or you see like an epic battle scene of Master Chief from Halo running through, like explosions are flying everywhere, and he has his gun like clasped to him as he's like charging through it all, so it's like that's also another challenge in and of itself. And it gets like 10 times more challenging when the figure doesn't have any articulation and I
Hmm.
have to like get the pose right or get the camera placed in the correct spot.
Yeah. Now, are you against breaking the toys themselves to get the articulation that you want, if they are rigid, or is it something where like, hey, listen, these are some pretty good action figures. I don't want to mess them up and then ruin the element of them. You know what I'm saying? So, like, are
Oh
you
yeah.
like a traditionalist in the sense that you're like, I'm not breaking these toys?
Well, if it's people that want me to photograph their own figures and like photograph their own stuff that they have, because I have a friend who has a bunch of Halo figures, and he one time asked me to photograph a couple of them for him, and at that point I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do a few things with them. I just want to let you know. I'm going to be absolutely 100% careful. I'm going to make sure nothing gets broken and stuff like that. And then I had a coworker, one of my coworkers, she asked me to photograph uh, these little plushy keychains, Labubus. I'm not sure if you've
Yeah,
ever
yeah.
heard of them.
No, I've heard of them. They're like
Yeah.
everywhere right now.
Oh no, she saw what I did and she was like, because she gets them for her daughter and whatnot. She saw what I did. She's like, "Could you do a couple photos featuring them?" And I'm like, "Sure, why not?" And I remember I did a photo of one, kind of landing on a clone trooper from Star Wars, kind of like it's like crushing his back, and like you
Mhm,
see like an impact of it, just to like really sell the idea that like, oh no, this trooper's really in pain right now.
mhm, mhm.
And one of the things I use to spread dirt and whatnot, it's a household item. It's called a plunger blaster. Basically, it's used to like unclog like drains and toilets and
It's the
whatnot.
one with the CO2 gun, basically.
Kinda like you pump it up, whatnot,
Yeah.
and then
Oh,
you
okay.
aim it at the ground or
So
you
this
aim
one's
it
the
at the
pump up one. They
drain.
have one with CO2, and I
Oh,
mean they would
jeez.
blow the characters away, but yeah,
Yeah, it's like you got the desired effect, but the figure's all the way right now in the sky,
yeah,
about to
yeah,
fall. But yeah, so like it's a tool you use to unclog like drains and whatnot, and I use that to spread dirt and the like around, and I did that, and the plushie got dirty beyond belief. Like the dirt was in its fur and whatnot. I'm like, oh Jesus, oh God, my coworker's gonna kill me. Because if you've seen the price of Labubus, how much they go for, it's like Jesus Christ. Um, and so like I gave it back to her. I'm like, I'm so sorry, and she's like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. And then the next one I did, because I did two of them, I used fireworks for this one, but
Mhm.
I made sure that I'm like, okay, let me get the lighting and everything right first, and then I'm just gonna layer whatever the fireworks do on top of it. So that way this thing doesn't get singed, it doesn't get burned, and that way, I don't have to spend however much on replacing these things, or I don't like scar her child when you see like part of the Labubu's face just like burnt off.
Yeah,
They're already creepy looking enough.
yeah,
So, I mean, with me, if I'm spending money on a figure and whatnot, I don't mind if like I weather it or if I damage it in certain instances. For me, I consider that like a badge of honor. Like as like a memory of like, oh wow, I remember when I did this and the photo came out great. It was a sacrifice I was willing to make. I feel bad for the figure, but you know what? Good photo came out, so
yeah.
all was fair. Um,
Now let me ask you a question. With these toys, right?
mhm,
If you had unlimited funds, right, and you had the capability of picking one action figure from all of history, right,
mhm.
um, to photograph, what like character is it? A set? Is it just the character itself? What would you use?
So if I had unlimited money, to do it, the first figure I would absolutely buy with that unlimited fund, it would be this is gonna sound really silly, but I would buy a Scorpion figure from Mortal Kombat. I would
Nice,
buy him, and if I had the money for it, I would absolutely build a set of him in like either the Netherrealm or Shao Kahn's Colosseum, and it would be him like summoning up like a legion of like hell demons and whatnot, just like from the ground, and whatnot, or like him just like posing with his rope dart and whatnot as flames just like erupt all around him and stuff like that. That's what I would do if I could. Um, if I just had unlimited funds and just unlimited resources, that's what I would absolutely do. Because
nice.
that, like I said, I'm more of a Mortal Kombat person than I am a Street Fighter person, and like instantly when I think of Scorpion, or when I like if I were ever to get my hands on one a figure of that, that's like what I want to do. Like that's like the big idea.
Yeah, because once you open it, you own it. So,
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
but I mean, it's pretty cool to kind of come up with all these different ideas. Again, like if somebody wanted to support you, or buy a print of your work or anything like that, how exactly would they go about doing that?
Well, right now I'm still working that out. I don't have an Etsy shop at the moment. But like I said, you can always reach out to me via Instagram and whatnot. Or if I'm ever at, like I said, the Fishkill Comic Book Convention, um, I always have a long list of prints out, as well as just samples of my work too. So if you see anything that you like that I don't have, I can always mail it directly to you. No fuss, no muss.
Nice, cool, man.
Yeah,
No, Vinny, thank you very much for allowing me to interview you. I really do appreciate it. This is the Behind the Comic Book podcast. So, of course, you see, we interview a lot of different genres in the culture of, what we love, right?
yeah,
Comic books, collectibles, uh, action figures, video games, what have you. We live in that world.
absolutely.
So, stay tuned, everybody. Every Monday at 12 p.m., we launch every single one of our episodes. That doesn't mean you stop watching it at that point. That's just when we land it on YouTube, at the youtube.com at Mr. 845 Social, where we have all of our episodes from season one and the ongoing season two right now. And if you want to meet us, talk to us about comic books or anything like that, or check out some of his cool art, you can definitely check it out at the Icon Comiccon, which is going to be November the 1st, in the Fishkill Rec Center, right off of, not what is it? It's 52 and 84. So if you get off of that exit, you see the 84 diner, you just head on down towards Beacon, and it's only like the third or fourth building on the right. But that being said, everybody, listen, iconcomiccon.com. Right now, tickets are only $5. Get it online. Save some money. Anybody 12 and up needs a ticket, but other than that, everybody 11 and under is totally free. We have a poster coming. We have giveaways. We have a comic book possibly coming for everybody to get. There's a lot of stuff going on at Icon, so definitely check it out. Vinny, thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Stay tuned for more episodes, guys. All right, here we go.